Bad institutions are a problem for economic development, and one particular example of this is teachers who get away with not showing up for class. Data from 5 developing nations show absentee rates of about 19%. Data from India show absentee rates of about 25%, ranging up to 42% in some regions. Interestingly, teachers who are paid more do not seem to be absent any less. The real problem is simply that if a teacher is absent, the chance of any penalty at all is extremely low. What is correlated with higher rates of absenteeism are older teachers, more educated teachers, and being a head teacher. Those are perhaps all indicators that a teacher can be absent and incur no penalty whatsoever. Absentee rates tend to be higher in poor states. They tend to be higher when there's no paved road nearby, which can mean it's harder for the teacher to get to the school, and absentee rates tend to be somewhat lower in private schools compared to public schools. What works for lowering the absentee rate? Well, one thing that seems to work for sure is taking photographs of the teachers when they show up for school and time-stamping and verifying those photographs and finding the teachers each time they're not there. In one study, that reduced rates of absenteeism by about half. It also seems to work if an outsider visits the school periodically, yet randomly and unannounced, and again, a fine is levied if the outsider finds that the teacher is not there. What seems to work not nearly so well is when the school itself is monitoring whether or not the teachers are absent. The enforcement then tends to be quite sporadic. An alternative is to reward teachers on the basis of outputs, rather than monitoring their inputs or their appearances. So imagine, for instance, a scheme where the teacher receives more money if the students do better on tests. You might think this would encourage the teacher to show up more often. The results here, however, are somewhat weak. Sometimes the teachers show up more often, but sometimes they simply teach more to the tests and continue to be absent at the previous rate. These results are considered mixed. A higher rate of community participation seems to lower rates of teacher absenteeism, because then it seems parents are more involved and they're more concerned and they're more aware when the teachers don't show up. Vouchers are another possible means of addressing teacher absenteeism, and we'll have a separate video unit on those. Teacher absenteeism has been one of the biggest problems in developing country education. To read a lot more on this topic, look to the papers by Michael Kramer and his co-authors. You can Google Michael Kramer Teacher Incentives, Michael Kramer Teacher Absence, or simply go to Michael Kramer's homepage and look at his long list of research papers, many of which are about teachers, incentives, and teacher absenteeism.